Here's a question. When was the last time you had a real conversation with someone? Not a text exchange, not comments on social media, not a quick how are you while rushing past someone. I mean, real conversation. Face to face, or at least voice to voice, where you're actually connecting with another human being. If you're struggling to remember, you're not alone. We're living in the most connected era of human history, yet we're experiencing an epidemic of loneliness that's literally killing people. We have AI chatbots that can have conversations with us. We have social media that lets us stay in touch with hundreds of people. We have messaging apps, video platforms, virtual communities. We're connected 24/7. So why do so many of us feel so isolated? I'm Jay Roy, founder of Like1, and this is the Health Hustle Podcast. And today we're talking about something that doesn't get discussed enough in the wellness world. The absolute necessity of genuine human connection, and why all the technology in the world can't replace actually being with other people. This isn't about demonizing technology or AI. This is about understanding what we're losing when we substitute digital interaction for human presence and what we need to do about it. Let me tell you about something that happened to me recently, literally half an hour before I did this podcast, that it perfectly illustrates what I want to talk about today. I connected with an engineer on LinkedIn, lovely guy named, and make sure I say his name right, Yevgeny. We started chatting in the messenger on LinkedIn about what we do, some business talk, the usual LinkedIn network stuff. The conversation was fine, informative and professional. But here's what happened. We decided to hop on a video call. Just a quick 30-minute intro call to put faces to names. That quick call turned into an hour and a half of genuine connection. We talked about our similarities as engineers, our wellness practices and procedures, how the wellness industry should be more connected instead of everyone operating on their own islands. We got to know each other as actual people, not just LinkedIn profiles. And here's the thing that struck me. We learned more about each other in that 90-minute video conversation than we ever could in the weeks or months of messaging on LinkedIn. The difference wasn't just the amount of information exchange, it was the quality of connection, the tone of voice, the facial expressions, the natural flow of conversation, the unexpected tangents that revealed who we really are, the laughter, the shared frustrations about the industry, the genuine human moments. That's what we're missing when we substitute text for presence. The social media promised to connect us. And in some ways it has. I can keep up with friends who live in different countries. I can share ideas with people I've never met otherwise, or I would never meet otherwise. I can build professional networks that span the whole globe. But here's what nobody talks about. Social media creates the illusion of connection while often deepening our isolation. You scroll through your feed, seeing everyone's highlights, you leave comments, you get likes, you feel like you're staying in touch. But are you really? Are you really staying in touch? When was the last time one of your 500 Facebook friends called you just to see how you're doing? When was the last time someone interacted with you regularly online, or someone who you interact regularly online showed up when you actually needed help? Social media gives us the breadth of connection. Lots of people we're loosely connected to, but it's replaced depth of connection. The people who actually know us and show up for us. And our brains can't tell the difference at first. We get a little dopamine hit from likes and comments. We feel like we've been social, but we're still lonely. Now, we have AI that can chat with us, answer our questions, and even provide what feels like companionship. And I use AI tools in my work. They're incredibly useful. But here's what concerns me. As AI gets better at stimulating human interaction, are we going to substitute artificial connection for real connection even more? An AI can listen without judgment. It's always available. It never gets tired or annoyed. It can be customized to our preference, but it's not human. It doesn't truly understand you. It doesn't care about you. It can't show up for you in the real world. And it can't give you a hug when you're struggling. It can't celebrate with you when you succeed. And our nervous systems know the difference. Even if we try to convince ourselves otherwise, this is just a physiological concern. The health impacts of loneliness and social isolation are severe and well documented. Chronic loneliness increases your risk of early death by 26% in comparison to smoking. Raises your risk of heart disease by 29%. It increases your stroke risk by 32%. It's associated with higher rates of depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline. Weakens your immune system, increases inflammation in your body, disrupts your sleep quality, raises stress hormones immensely. This isn't just feeling sad. It's your body breaking down from lack of genuine human connection. We evolved as social creatures. Our survival depended on being part of a group. Our nervous systems are wired for connection with other humans. When we're isolated, even if we're connected online, our bodies interpret that as danger. Our stress response activates. Our health suffers. You can't hack your way around this with technology. You need actual human presence. I grew up in the Caribbean where community wasn't optional. It was just how life worked. We knew our neighbors. You spent time with people face to face. You had communication on porches or conversations on porches, at the market, in the street. There was no substitute for being present with people. No texting instead of visiting. No posting on social media instead of showing up. And you know what? Mental health issues and chronic disease related to stress and isolation were far less common. I'm not romanticizing the past or saying we should abandon technology, but I'm saying we've lost something essential in our rush to digitize everything. We traded depth for breadth, presence for convenience, real connection for the illusion of connection. And we're paying for it with our health, our happiness, and our humanity. Let's talk about what happens in your body and brain when you have genuine human interaction and why no amount of social media scrolling can replace it. When you're with someone you trust, having a real conversation, your nervous system does something remarkable. It downregulates. Your stress hormone decreases. Your health rate, your heart rate variability improves. So this is like a sign of the nervous system health. Your breathing naturally deepens and slows. Your muscles relax. This is called co-regulation. Your nervous system literally regulates itself in response to another person's presence or calm presence. You can't get this from texting. You can't get it from AI. You need actual human presence. Seeing someone's face, hearing their voice, being in physical space with them. This is why a hug from someone you care about can instantly make you feel better. Why sitting with a friend can calm your anxiety. Why being around people who care about you helps you recover from stress faster. Your body needs this. It's not optional for wellness. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough in the wellness industry. You can eat perfectly, work out religiously, take all the right supplements, and still be unhealthy if you're chronically lonely. Because loneliness creates chronic stress, and chronic stress disrupts your sleep. No matter how good your sleep hygiene is, it affects your digestion, no matter how clean your diet is. It weakens your immune system, no matter how many vitamins you take. It increases your inflammation, no matter how much exercise you do. It does. And it impairs your cognitive function, no matter how many brain games you play. I've worked with clients who were doing everything right with their physical health, but struggling because they were isolated. No amount of optimism could overcome the health impact of loneliness. Once we addressed the social isolation, helped them build genuine connections, everything else improved. Their sleep got better, their anxiety decreased, their energy increased, their physical health markers improved. Connection isn't separate from health. Connection is health. Real human relationships give us something that scrolling through social media never can. A sense of meaning and purpose. When you're genuinely connected to people, you have reasons to take care of yourself because you matter to others. You have support during difficult times. You have people to celebrate with during good times. You have accountability that comes from care, not from judgment. You have a sense of belonging. These aren't nice to haves. These are fundamental human needs. People with strong social connections live longer. They recover from illnesses faster, have lower rates of depression and anxiety, report higher life satisfaction, handle stress more effectively, they have better cognitive function as they age. This is why at Nikon, we don't just focus on individual wellness. We create community because sustainable wellness happens in connection, not isolation. Here's something interesting about digital communication. It's easy to share things online than in person. You can post your struggles on social media. You can send vulnerable messages. You can overshare with strangers, but this creates a paradox. We're sharing more, but connecting less. Real intimacy, the kind that actually meets our needs, requires vulnerability in the presence of another person, not curated vulnerability for an audience, not carefully worded vulnerability via text. Real, messy, face-to-face vulnerability. When someone sees you struggling and stays present with you. When you can express difficult emotions and be met with understanding. When you don't have to perform or edit yourself. That's where real connection happens. And that's what heals us. You could have 10,000 followers and still be completely alone because followers aren't friends. Likes aren't love. Comments aren't connection. Going back to my conversation with Yevgeny, what made that call so different from our LinkedIn messages? In text, we were professional, informative, polite. On video, we were human. We laughed. We got animated talking about things we cared about. We went on tangents. We showed frustration about the same industry problems. We connected on shared values beyond just business. I could see on his facial expressions when he talked about why wellness matters to him. I could hear the passion in his voice when he talked about his engineering work. I could sense his genuine interest in what I was building. None of that translates through text, and all of it matters for a real connection. This is why I'm intentional about moving professional relationships from text to voice or video when possible. The quality of connection is completely different. Here's something else we're losing. Physical touch. Humans need touch. Not romantic or sexual touch necessarily, but human contact. Handshakes, hugs, pats on the back, sitting close enough to feel someone's presence. Touch releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, and signals to your nervous system that you're safe. You can't get this through a screen. You can't get this through AI. You need actual physical presence with other humans. This is why the isolation during lockdowns was so devastating for mental health. It wasn't just a fear of uncertainty. It was the complete absence of physical human contact for extended periods. We need each other, not just digitally, actually physically in the same space. Let me be clear. I'm not saying technology and social media are inherently bad. I use them. They serve purposes, but we need to be honest about their limitations. So social media is performance. Even when we're trying to be authentic, we're still choosing what to share, how to frame it, which photo to use, how to word the caption. We're presenting a version of ourselves and everyone else is doing the same. This creates relationships based on curated personas, not real people. You're connecting with someone's highlight reel, not their actual life. And this affects how we relate to each other. We compare our messy reality to everyone else's polished presentation. We feel inadequate. We feel like we're the only ones struggling because everyone else looks like they have it all together. Real connection requires seeing and being seen as we actually are, not as our carefully edited selves. Text communication is great for quick exchanges of information, but it's terrible for complex, nuanced, emotional connection. You can't convey tone perfectly through text. Emojis, they help, but they're not the same as facial expressions and body language. Important context gets lost. How many times have you had a text exchange get misunderstood? How many times has something you've said been taken the wrong way because the tone didn't translate? Real conversations have vocal tone that conveys meaning beyond words, facial expressions that show genuine emotion, body language that communicates how someone really feels, real-time feedback that lets you adjust communication, natural pauses that silences that create space for processing. All of this is missing text. And all of it matters for genuine understanding and connection. When you're messaging someone, they're also watching TV, working, scrolling through other apps, having other conversations, living their life. You're getting divided attention at best. When you're face to face or voice to voice or video to video, you're getting focused attention. You're both present for that interaction. The quality of attention matters as much as the quantity of communication. I'd rather have one 30-minute focused conversation than days of scattered back and forth messages where neither person is fully present. Social media platforms are designed to be addictive. The variable reward schedules, the infinite scroll, the fear of missing out, the social validation through likes and comments. These aren't bugs, they're features. The platforms profit from your attention, so they're engineered to capture and keep it. This means the time you could be spending in a real connection is actually spent scrolling, comparing, consuming content that leaves you feeling worse. And here's the insidious part. Social media makes you feel like you're being social. You checked in with people, you stayed updated, you've been connected, but you're actually more isolated than if you put down your phone and had one real conversation. AI is getting incredibly sophisticated. It can have conversations that feel remarkably human. It can provide information, entertainment, even what seems like understanding, but it's simulating human interaction, not providing it. And AI doesn't actually care about you. It doesn't think about you when you're not talking to it. It won't remember your birthday unless programmed to. It won't check on you when you're struggling unless you initiate the conversation. It's a tool, a very advanced tool, but a tool nonetheless. And our human need for connection isn't satisfied by tools. No matter how sophisticated they become, we need other humans who choose to care about us, who show up for us, who are invested in our well-being beyond the time we're directly interacting. Digital platforms that use an algorithm show us content similar to what we've engaged with before. So this creates an echo chambers where we're mostly exposed to people who think like us. Real human connection, especially in person, exposes us to different perspectives, different experiences, different ways of being in the world. This diversity is essential for growth, empathy, and understanding. It prevents us from becoming rigid and closed-minded. When all your connection is digital and algorithmic, you're living in an increasingly narrow bubble. Real relationships, especially face-to-face ones, break us out of those bubbles and help us to grow. All right, so we've established the problem. Now let's talk about solutions. How do you actually build and maintain genuine human connection in a world that's constantly pulling you towards screens, including this one? First, you have to be intentional. Real connection won't just happen anymore. You have to create it deliberately. This means scheduling time for in-person interactions, literally putting it in your calendar, choosing voice or video calls over text when possible, saying no to digital distractions during connection time, prioritizing depth over breadth in relationships. I make this a non-negotiable in my schedule, just like I do with my workouts or my business work. Connection isn't something I do if I have time. It's something I make time for. Create sacred spaces and times where phones don't exist. For me, that's meals with people I care about. The phone is in the other room. not just face down on the table. Workout sessions with training partners, evening wind down time, first thing in the morning. When you're with someone, be actually with them, not half present while checking your phone every few minutes. People can feel when you're distracted, and that half presence is worse than absence because it signals you're not important enough for my full attention. Give people your full presence. It's one of the greatest gifts you can offer. Here's one practice I've adopted. If a text conversation is going beyond 3 to 4 exchanges, I suggest moving to a call. This is a great conversation. I want to hop on a quick call instead of typing all this out. Most people say yes, and the conversation is always better. You connect faster. You understand each other better. You build actual relationship instead of just exchanging information between each other. This is what happened with Yevgeny. We could have just kept messaging for weeks. Instead, we jumped on a video and built a real connection in 90 minutes. One-on-one connection is essential, but community is powerful too. At Nikon, we're very intentional about creating community, not just individual client relationships, because people need to feel part of something bigger than themselves. This might look like group fitness classes where people actually talk to each other. Community events that bring people together in person, like workshops, where people learn together and connect. Accountability groups where that meet regularly for opportunities to be part of communities that are built around shared values or interests, not just online communities, like actual groups of people who gather in person. You don't need 500 friends. You need a handful of people you genuinely know who genuinely know you and care about you. Research shows that most people can maintain about 5 close relationships, 15 good friends, 50 friends, and 150 meaningful connections. That's it. Those are the limits of human social capacity, as far as I know. Stop trying to maintain surface level connection with hundreds of people on social media. Invest deeply in people who matter most. Regular check-ins with close friends, meaningful time with family, deep conversation with people who get you. Quality trumps quantity every time. Real connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires practice, especially if you've gotten used to the safety of digital distance. Small part, share something real in conversation, not just surface pleasantries. Ask deeper questions beyond how are you? Be honest about struggles, not just success. Let people see you as you actually are, not just curated version. This feels risky because it is risky. Real connection makes you vulnerable to being hurt, rejected, or misunderstood. It's also the only path to genuine intimacy and belonging, and it's worth the risk. Use technology to facilitate real connection, not to replace it. So examples would be use social media to organize in-person gatherings. Use messages to schedule calls or meetups. Use video calls when in-person isn't possible. Use apps to find communities and events in your area. Technology as a replacement for connection, problem. Create a weekly practice of genuine connection. For me, that includes Sunday family dinner, phones away, full presence. Wednesday workout with a training partner. Friday tea, they could have coffee. I'm not touching it. I'm just going to have like herbal tea with someone from my network, rotating like who that could be. Regular video calls with friends in different cities. Now, these aren't negotiable. They're scheduled. They're protected. They're essential. What would your weekly connection ritual look like? Move beyond surface level small talk. Ask questions that create real conversation. So instead of how are you, try what's been challenging you lately? Instead of what do you do, try what are you passionate about? Instead of how was your week, try what's something you're excited about right now? These questions invite people to share something real, and real sharing creates real connection. The most important skill for connection is presence, being fully there with another person. Now, this means listening without planning what you'll say next, making eye contact, noticing the person's energy and emotional state, responding to what's actually being said, not what you expected to hear, being comfortable with silence, not rushing to fix or advise. Most people have so few experiences of being truly listened to that when you offer that, it's profound. At NikeOne, connection isn't separate from wellness. It's central to it. We don't just provide individual services. We create community where people connect with each other, not just with us. This means group sessions where people build relationships, events that bring people together, shared experiences that create bonds, a culture where people support each other because we know that isolated wellness isn't sustainable wellness. You need people. Our 360 wellness model means you're not just working with one person. You have a team, trainer, you have a nutritionist, therapist, life coach, physiotherapist, and these people talk to each other about you with your permission. They coordinate, they collaborate. You experience what it feels like to have multiple people invested in your well-being, working together on your behalf. That's connection. That's care. That's what humans need. We provide accountability, but not through judgment or shame, through genuine care. When someone checks in on you because they actually care about how you're doing, not because it's their job, you feel it. You can show up differently. That's the kind of accountability that works. The kind that comes from relationship, not transaction. Yes, we use technology. We have online options. We use messaging and video calls when needed. But whenever possible, we prioritize in-person interaction because we know the difference it makes. Face-to-face training sessions, in-person group classes, gatherings, actual human presence. Technology supports our work. It doesn't replace the human element. Here's your action plan for building more genuine human connection. This week, do a connection audit. How much time did you spend in genuine human connection this week versus digital communication? Be honest about the ratio. Reach out to 3 people. Call or message 3 people you haven't connected with in a while. Not to chat via text, to schedule an actual conversation or meet up. Eat at least one meal this week with another person or people with 0 phones at the table. This month, schedule regular connection time. Put recurring time on your calendar for genuine connection. Weekly coffee with a friend. Me, it's going to be herbal tea. They can have the coffee. Bi-weekly video calls with distant loved ones. Monthly game nights or dinners. Yeah. Join one in-person community. Like find a group, class, club, or organization that meets in person around something you care about. Show up, talk to people, that thing. Practice deeper conversations. This week, have at least one conversation that goes beyond surface pleasantries. Ask real questions, share about something real. In the long term, build your core crew. Identify 3 to 5 people you want to invest deeply in. Make regular connection with them non-negotiable. Create connection rituals. So establish weekly or monthly practices that prioritize genuine human interaction. Use technology intentionally. So audit your social media and messaging use. Is it facilitating real connection or replacing it? Adjust it accordingly. Quick wins. I would say turn off non-essential notifications. Reduce constant digital interruption. Move long text conversations to voice or video calls. Schedule one in-person meetup this week. Practice full presence with whoever you're with today. Ask someone a deeper question and actually listen to their answer. Put your phone in the other room during meals. Hug someone you care about with their permission. A warning signs you might need more connection. Feeling lonely despite being active on social media. Difficulty remembering the last meaningful conversation you had. Most of your social media interaction is through screens. Feeling like nobody really knows you. Going days without genuine human interaction. Defaulting to digital communication even when in person is possible. If several of these resonate, connection needs to become a priority. Here's what I want you to take away from today. You're a social creature. You're wired for connection with other humans. This isn't a weakness or a nice to have. It's fundamental to your biology and your well-being. No amount of social media followers, AI chatbots, or digital communication can replace actual human presence. Your body knows the difference. Your nervous system knows the difference. Your health depends on the difference. The technology isn't the enemy, but we need to be honest about its limitations and intentional about not letting it replace what we actually need. You need people who know you, who see you, who show up for you, who can be real with you, who are present with you, not just connected to you digitally. Building and maintaining these relationships takes effort in the real world, designed to pull you towards screens. But it's essential effort. It's not separate from your wellness. It is your wellness. At Nikewana, we understand that sustainable health happens in community, not isolation. That's why we built an approach that prioritizes human connection alongside physical health, mental clarity, and life balance. If you're feeling isolated, disconnected, or like you're going through life without people who really know you, visit Nikewana.co and take our compatibility quiz. Let's see if our community-centered approach to wellness might give you what you've been missing. Share this episode with someone who might be substituting digital connection for real connection. Or better yet, call them and have an actual conversation about it. And remember, the antidote to loneliness epidemic isn't better technology or more followers. It's putting down your phone, looking someone in the eye, and having a real human moment. Until next time, this is Jayway reminding you that connection isn't a luxury. It's as essential as food, water, and sleep. Treat it that way.